Boys. So in our yesterday's class, some of the sodium compounds we completed any. So today a few compounds are there. Almost within 1 hour we will conclude the concept chapter. So please see here. Please see here. Within 1 hour we will conclude. Okay. See boys. So next compound from sodium side, that is microcosmic solvent. So it is one of the sodium salts. So microcosmic solvent, which is also called as sodium ammonium hydrogen phosphate. Sodium ammonium hydrogen phosphate with 4 water molecules. It is hydrated salt, boys. So this salt, sir, what is the purpose of this salt? This salt is generally used in your laboratory to identify the metal ions present in your given solvent. Metal ions are generally basic radicals. So those metal ions identified with the help of this salt under the test microcosmic salt test. Under the test microcosmic salt. So in this test, colored beads are formed. Colored beads. Beads are nothing but small tablets like materials. So small rounded parts. So different colors, salts are beads are formed. So depending on the color of the bead, we can finally conclude it. Which metal ion is present? So different metal ions gives different colored beads. Different metal ions gives different colored beads. So now what is the test? How to prepare this microcosmic salt? So let us discuss. See here, boys. That is sodium ammonium hydrogen phosphate. Sodium hydrogen phosphate. Sodium ammonium hydrogen phosphate. Now what is the preparation? It is sodium disodium hydrogen phosphate. It is a disodium hydrogen phosphate. This one treated with ammonium chloride, that gives a sodium ammonium hydrogen phosphate. It is our microcosmic solvent. So sodium ammonium hydrogen phosphate. So what are these chemical properties? So properties means if this salt is heated strongly, that gives, so these 4 water molecules are lost. That means 4 water, that gives anhydrous salt. First of all, it gives anhydrous salt. That anhydrous salt still ongoing on heating, strong heatage. So that gives remaining water and ammonia molecules are released and converts into NaPO3, which is called as sodium metaphosphate. That sodium metaphosphate ion is formed. That is the salt. So it seems to be a transparent bead. For example, if this salt is heated by taking a metal salt, that is a salt, another salt. For example, copper sulfate is there. Manganese sulfate is there. Cobalt chloride is there. Like this, one of the salts is heated along with this microcosmic salt. So all these are formed. So see here, microcosmic salt is formed as NaPO3. So for example, if copper salt is along with it is heated, then CuSO4 is converted into Cu2O and SO3. So this SO3 is a gas escaped out. Okay, this is CuO and this formed NaPO3. That combination gives NaCuPO3. That is sodium cupric phosphate. It is the bead, boys. It is a bead. Bead means tablet land then. So that is, it seems to be nuts, just like a nut. Okay, that has different colors. Copper bead, if the bead is coming out from copper salts, so that has some color. Maybe blue color, maybe. Manganese, that gives another color. Nickel, that gives another color. Depending on the color of the bead obtained, we can find out, we can finally conclude that no doubt that salt has that particular ion. It is the test voice. It is the test used in qualitative analysis. It is the test used in qualitative analysis. So that is an important test. Next, and another one, that is, so it is used to explain, to find out the quality of the silica. Is the silica is good in quality or not? The quality, that is, a microcosmic salt is heated along with that silica, that gives a cloudy like beach, cloudy beach. So that gives clarity about the silica quality. Okay, so this is the formula, this is the major concept wise. So in this concept, you should know first of all what is that, what is this formula, what is its general name and chemical name. General name is microcosmic salt and chemical name is sodium ammonium hydrogen phosphates. So where it is used in, that is in qualitative analysis, to find out the metal ions by depending on the different colored beads, and also used to find out the, so particularly used to test the silicon, to test the silicon. So these are some points towards your microcosmic salt. That's enough to you guys. So this is microcosmic salt. Next, second component, that is 10th component, last component from sodium salts. That is 10th one, sodium sulfate. Formula Na2SO4. Sodium sulfate, its formula is Na2SO. Okay, so you should write it. What is its formula? Oh, sorry, what is its name? That is sodium sulfate, boys. If sodium sulfate Na2SO4 10H2O is there, that is sodium sulfate decahydrate. Sodium sulfate decahydrate, which is called as Glauber's salt. So Glauber's salt. So what is Glauber's salt? So decahydrate, sodium sulfate decahydrate is commonly called as Glauber's salt. Boys, it is a salt. How salts are prepared? Nothing but by the addition of acid and base. Acid-base reaction gives salt and water. One of the salts is like this. See here how to prepare. So what are the preparation methods for this one? So preparation methods. That is, first of all, when H2SO4 reacts with NaCl, that gives one of these hydrogens is replaced, NaHSO4 plus, so HCl is the product. This formed NaHSO4 further reacts with NaCl, that gives Na2SO4 plus HCl. So this is the way to prepare sodium sulfate. It is the way to prepare sodium sulfate. Okay, next one. It is first one. Second one, when acid and base react with each other, that gives saltant. That is, when H2SO4 reacts with NaOH, that gives Na2SO4 plus H2O. Na2SO4 plus H2O. It is a sodium sulfate. It is the preparation. So same end. When H2SO4, instead of NaOH, I am taking Na2CO3. Sodium carbonate, it is also base. That gives Na2SO4 plus H2O plus CO2. So these are the preparation methods of this, and that is sodium sulfate. This is the preparation methods of sodium sulfate. Okay. Now, what are the uses of this sodium sulfate? What are the uses? Boys, it is the salt of strong acid and strong base. Salt of strong acid and strong base, aqueous solution is always neutral and pH is equal to 7. So therefore, its aqueous solution is neutral and pH of that solution is equal to 7. The aqueous solution of sodium sulfate is neutral. Next, where it is used, sir? So generally this is used. First one in textile industry. In textile industry it is used. Second one, and very very important, that is as purgative in medicine. In medicine, purgative. What is the meaning of purgative? Purgative, it is the chemical used to control the vomiting sensation. So sometimes we have vomiting sensation. To control that vomiting sensation, some medicines are used. Those medicines are called as purgatives. So one of the chemicals in purgative is this Na2SO. Na2SO is a part of purgative. Next, it is used to prepare. It is used to prepare glass plates and so some of the sodium salts. So these are prepared from this by starting with this chemical. So this is about Glauber's salt. So the one and only important point is Glauber's salt. What is Glauber's salt? So that is decahydrate. Sodium sulfate decahydrate is commonly called as Glauber's salt. Okay, so that's enough, boys. So these are all compounds of sodium. No need of properties, boys. This is general chemical formula. So no need. Okay. So this is sufficient for our sodium salts, boys. This is the completion of compounds of sodium. Let us discuss about compounds of potassium. Almost similar and very light. Small topics are there. Please listen. So there is next topic and compounds of potassium. That is next topic. Compounds of potassium. Just like sodium, it is compounds of potassium, boys. Now, a few compounds are there. Almost their properties are similar to compounds of sodium. That's why. So a little reactions are there. Very less number of reactions. Please consider. See here, there is first one. Oxides of potassium. Oxides of potassium. Our potassium can form 4 different types of oxides. See here. So potassium can form 1 K2O. It is potassium monoxide. Next, second one K2O2, which is potassium peroxide. Next, third one K2O3. It is potassium sesquioxide. And fourth one KO2, which is potassium superoxide. These are the 4 oxides that can be formed by potassium. And already 3 compounds, you know, it is the newest one. So that is potassium sesquioxide. It is also found, but it is unstable and very unstable. See here. Now, what are the preparations of this potassium oxide? Boys, already we completed sodium oxide and sodium peroxide. Similar to sodium oxide and sodium peroxide preparations, their Na is replaced with potassium. We will get potassium oxide. So preparation of these compounds are similar to compounds of nitrogen, compounds of sodium. See here, that preparation methods. First one, when potassium is heated with oxygen, so that is a limited supply of oxygen. Limited supply of oxygen, that gives K2O. When potassium is heated in air, less percentage of oxygen, limited amount of oxygen, that is very controlled oxidation. That is called as K2O is the product. K2O is the product. That is monoxide. If it is in excess and potassium reacts with excess, that gives K2O2 is the product. Peroxide is the product. Peroxide is the product. If it is in excess, too much excess is used. So more and more, and same oxide, more and more oxygen is used. That gives KO2. That is a superoxide voice. So these are the preparation methods of oxides. So limited supply of oxygen, monoxide. Something little bit excess, peroxide. More and more, that is superoxide. So these are the preparations of oxides, peroxides, and superoxides. Now, what is the preparation of K2O3? That preparation is also similar, boys. That is, potassium reacts with oxygen in the presence of liquid ammonia. In the presence of liquid ammonia, when potassium reacts with oxygen, that gives potassium sesqui oxide. So it is 2 moles. So it is 4 times. It is 3 times. So that is the way to prepare potassium sesqui oxide. K2O3. K2O3. Okay. So it is. Boys, superoxides are colored. So KO2 is also colored. It is yellow. So it is yellow colored powder. Yellow powder. It is yellow colored powder and superoxides are colored. Already we know because of presence of unpaired electrons in its structure. Presence of unpaired electron. Okay. So these are the preparation methods of these respect to oxides. Only you should know what are those oxides and their formula. Just one of the preparation methods. It is similar to sodium oxide, sodium peroxide preparation method. Next compound, guys. Next compound. Potassium hydroxide. Formula KOH. It is second compound from potassium side. Potassium hydroxide. Yes, later we will discuss. Potassium hydroxide. Okay, so already we know NaOH, boys, from sodium side. Sodium hydroxide. How to prepare that NaOH? First of all, that is NaOH is prepared. That is Lenser cell process, Kastner-Kellner process, modified Kastner-Kellner process. So those are the methods used to prepare that NaOH, boys. So instead of NaOH, the same methods are also used to prepare this KOH also. So there Na is used, here Kn. If NaCl is there, now instead of NaCl, we use KCl. So just replace that Na with potassium. So all those same methods used to prepare that NaOH also useful to prepare this KOH. That's why no need of extra data, no need of extra information. So see here, so KOH. So this KOH is generally called as potassium. Solid KOH. Solid KOH is called as caustic potash. Please keep in mind, the name of solid KOH is called as caustic potash. Next, aqueous KOH. Aqueous KOH, which is called as potash lime. Aqueous potash is commonly called as potash lime. So preparation of KOH similar to the preparation of NaOH. Preparation of KOH is similar to that of preparation of NaOH. All those methods are once again used to prepare this KOH. See boys, what are the uses of KOH? Uses it. First and most important, this, that is alcoholic KOH. It is frequently used in our organic chemistry. Alcoholic KOH, that means when KOH dissolved in alcohol, alcoholic KOH is formed. This alcoholic KOH is used as dehydrohalogenating agent. This is used as dehydrohalogenating agent. See boys, in organic chemistry, in your organic chemistry, this is used as dehydrohalogen. D means removal. Wherever the word D is used, removal of hydrogen and halogen from the compound. So that means that is the reagent used to remove hydrogen and halogen from the compound. Is called as dehydrohalogenating agent. Let us take an example. So see here, CH3, CH2Cl, ethyl chloride. Now I am taking the CH2 as like this, CH2. These are the adjacent carbons boys. Now I am using alcoholic KOH. Alcoholic KOH. What happened? Whenever alcoholic KOH is used, this potassium and this Cl are going out. That is as KCl as the productant. That potassium and chlorine combination gives KCl plus this hydrogen and this OH combination. These two gives H2O. Those two gives H2O. Now, so this bond and this bond, these two bonds are broken boys. So instead of these two bonds, there is a new bond is developed. There is a pi bond. So two sigma bonds are adjacent carbons converts into a pi bond. So that gives CH2 double bond. CH2 is the final product. It is ethene ending. Ethene. Okay. So it is the way to prepare this this reagent. So alcoholic KOH. Whenever the reagent alcoholic KOH is used from the given compounds, from the adjacent carbons of the given compounds, hydrogen and halogen are removed. From the adjacent carbons of the given compounds, hydrogen and halogen are removed. So after removal, remaining chemical compound is going to be product, and that halogen as KCl or KX and hydrogen as water. So this is the way to remove it. Next, second point. Aqueous KOH. Aqueous KOH. This aqueous KOH, that means wherever halogen is there. So in your organic compounds, it is organic compound wise. Wherever halogen is there, automatically, if aqueous KOH is used, that halogen is replaced with OH. That halogen is replaced with OH and X minus ion is coming out. Okay, that means halogen compound is converted into alcohol. So to replace halogen atom with OH, aqueous KOH is used. To replace, that means to remove both hydrogen and halogen from adjacent carbons. So that is alcoholic KOH is formed. Alcoholic KOH. So these are the most important reagents in your organic chemistry boys. So at the time of organic chemistry, how these are available? So mechanism, with mechanism you should not. So like up to that, so just you should identify. So wherever alcoholic KOH is used, adjacent carbons H and X are removed. Next, if aqueous KOH is used, halogen is replaced with OH. Halogen is replaced with OH. So where is K? That is nothing but KX. Okay, okay. KX is the product. Okay, that is right. KX is the product. Okay, so these are the some compounds, some properties, some importance of this KOH boys. So please keep in mind, it is caustic potash, solid KOH, potash lye, that is aqueous KOH. Aqueous KOH. Now another compound. Next, one more important point, boys. One more important. So KOH, KOH, strong base end. KOH is strong base than that of NaOH. That is why it easily absorbs acidic oxide like CO2, SO2. So whenever you absorb, you want to absorb CO2, use KOH. That KOH plus that CO2 is absorbed in it. So therefore, it absorbs CO2, SO2 like acidic oxides. CO2, SO2 like acidic oxides are absorbed by this KOH because it is something strong base than that of NaOH. Something strong base than NaOH. So this is also very, very important points. So during your radiometric conditions, so KOH is used, whenever KOH is used, CO2 is collected. So the volume is corresponding to CO2 volume. That is why we are using it. So that is the most important use of this KOH. Next compound. So hydroxide is completed. Now carbonated. That is the third one. Potassium carbonate. Formula K2CO3. K2CO3. Potassium carbonate. Potassium carbonate, that is K2CO3. Now, see here, anhydrous K2CO3 is commonly called as pearl ash. That is anhydrous K2CO3 is commonly called as pearl ash. Okay, now preparation methods. Boys, what are the techniques used to prepare Na2CO3? Similar methods are also used, boys. So for Na2CO3 preparation, Leblanc process is used, right? And Solvay process, yes, it is very, very important, boys. K2CO3 cannot be prepared by Solvay's process. Already the point we covered there. See here. So very, very important point. That is K2CO3 cannot be prepared by Solvay's process, as KHCO3 is highly soluble in water. As KHCO3 is highly soluble in water, because of this reason, this K2CO3 is not prepared by Solvay's process. Okay, next one, second one. What is that? Yes, what is that? Leblanc process. So Leblanc process is used to prepare this Na2CO3. So that is Leblanc process. There NaCl used, boys. Now KCl used. See what are the reactions? When KCl reacts with H2SO4, gives KHSO4 plus HCl. That formed KHSO4 once again reacts with KCl, that gives K2SO4 plus HCl, not HCl. So S. Okay, K2SO4 plus HCl. That formed K2SO4 reacts with cocaine, that gives K2S plus 4 carbon monoxide. This formed K2S reacts with CaCO3. That is, what is that CaCO3? So that is limestone. So CaCO3, that gives K2CO3 plus CaSN. Boys, there. So in that preparation, Na2CO3 plus CaS is common. What does this mean? What is the name of that mixture? Na2CO3 plus CaS mixture is called as. What is the name? Tell me. Yesterday we completed. Yes, black ash. But it is there is no name, boys. It is K2CO3 CaS. Later this K2CO3 is separate out. Later this K2CO3 is separate out. It is the way to prepare K2CO3 similar to NaOH. Similar to NaOH. Now another preparation. So these are the laboratory preparations. Now industrial preparation method of this K2CO3. Industrial preparation methods. Industrial method. That is called as magnesia processing. Name is magnesia process, or which is also called as patch processing. Preach, P-R-E-C-H-T apostrophe S process. Preach process, which is also called as a magnesia process. Preach process or magnesia process. It is the industrial method of preparation of that K2CO3. See here, what are the reactions here? So it is from KCl, boys. That is 2KCl reacts with 3 moles magnesium. That is MgCO3 3H2O. MgCO3 3H2O. That is called as magnesia. So plus CO2 is heated up to 293 Kelvin. Is heated up to 293 Kelvin. So an additional compound is formed, that is KHCO3 and MgCO3 H2O. 4H2O. It is the additional compound, boys, plus MgCl2 is the final product. This formed additional compound is boiling end. So that break down into respective compounds, that is K2CO3 plus MgCO3 plus 9 water molecules plus, why it is 2 moles. 9 water molecules plus CO2 are the products. CO2 are the products. So during boiling, this K2CO3 is soluble in water and it is insoluble. So filtered, that filtrate, please take that filtrate. Filtrate is evaporated. After evaporation, you will get solid K2CO3. So after evaporation gives K2CO3. After filtration and evaporation, the finally K2CO3 is the product. K2CO3 is the. It is the way to prepare K2CO3 industrially. It is that these are the additional compounds. K2CO3. Okay. So just preparation methods in our syllabus and just preparation methods. Next, boys, some important conclusions here. What is that? A mixture of Na2CO3 and K2CO3. Just a minute. Note points. Please keep in mind. A mixture of Na2CO3 and K2CO3. A mixture of Na2CO3 and K2CO3. This mixture is called as fusion mixture. This mixture is called as a fusion mixture. So its melting point is less than the top melting point of individual compounds. That is melting point of K2CO3 and also melting point of Na2CO3. Individual compounds melting points is more than that of this mixture melting point. So whenever a compound is going to be melt, it has high melting point, that is mixed with this fusion mixture, automatic melting point is dropped down. So for that purpose, this fusion mixture is used. Fusion mixture, very, very important. And one more point, boys, at the time NaOH I missed it, that is NaOH plus CaO. NaOH plus CaO. This mixture is called as soda lime. This mixture is called as a soda lime. So what is the purpose of this mixture? It is used to as a decarboxylating agent. Decarboxylating agent. Decarboxylating means, D means removal. So removal of CO2. Removal of CO2 from the compounds, from the organic compound is called as decarboxylation. So for that purpose, a reagent is used. That reagent is called as decarboxylic agent. Just an example, see here. That is methyl, that is CH3COO. It is sodium acetate. Sodium acetate. When it reacts with this soda lime, NaOH along with CaO. NaOH along with CaO. See here, this Na2CO3 is going out, and this CH3 with this H, that gives CH4 plus Na2CO3 is the product. This is a methane. This is methane. Boys, so it is the actual compound. In this actual compound, this CO2 is removed with the help of this NaOH and CaO. So that's why a mixture of NaOH and CaO is used to remove CO2 from the given compound. That's why it is called as a decarboxylating agent. It is called as a decarboxylating agent. Okay. So boys, the properties of K2CO3, the properties of K2CO3 is exactly similar to that of Na2CO3. Is exactly similar to that of Na2CO3. That is why all Na2CO3 properties are also applicable for K2CO3. That is why, so no need to write once again. Okay. So now another compound and most important. See here. So before going to that, one more compound is there. That is potassium nitrate. Next compound, formula KNO3. Formula KNO3. No doubt it is the salt. When KOH reacts with HNO3, automatically gives KNO3. Like that. We know NaNO3. All the preparations and properties of this KNO3 100% identical to NaNO3. 100% identical to NaNO3. That's why, especially here, KNO3 is not discussed here. Very, very important. Okay. So see here, one more point. So preparation methods. KNO3 is identical to NaNO3. Properties. KNO3 is exactly equal to NaNO3. So that's why I'm not using any chemical reactions for this purpose. All the preparation methods and properties are exactly coincided with NaNO3. Next, one more point, Eddie. Okay, so that is NaNO3. So this mineral, which is coming out from the earth crust, mineral, this NaNO3 is called as Chile saltpeter. Chile saltpeter, NaNO3. KNO3 mineral, which is called as Indian saltpeter. Saltpeter are nothing but nitrates are called as saltpeters. So chili saltpeter is NaNO3, Indian saltpeter is KNO3. Please keep in mind these points may be asked in your exams. Okay, so just this is the information about that KNO3. Next and last compound from potassium salts, that is potassium iodide, and which is very, very important. Some more reactions are there for that one. That is, just a minute. Fifth one and last one from this category, any potassium iodide, that is KIN. Potassium iodide, Ki. Now, what is the preparation methods? Ki, it is the salt. Acid plus base gives salt. See here, preparation methods. Laboratory preparation methods. First one, when KOH, it is base, reacts with HI, it is acid, that gives Ki plus H2O. Ki plus H2O. Similarly, K2CO3 plus 2HI gives 2Ki plus H2O plus CO2. 2Ki plus H2O plus CO2. These two are the laboratory preparation methods of Ki, potassium iodide. Laboratory preparation methods. Now, industrial methods. Industrial methods of preparation. Industrial methods. So that is from iodine. 3 moles iodine reacts with hot concentrated KOH solution and heated hot concentrated KOH, that gives 5 Ki plus KiO3 plus 3 moles water is coming out. So it is Ki, boys. Not only that, this formed potassium, what is the name of this one? Potassium iodide. The name of the compound is potassium iodide. That potassium iodide further reacts with, so that is coke powder, that gives, so this, that is Ki plus 3CO is the productant. Carbon monoxide going out, Ki is formed. So this is the way to prepare potassium iodide industrially. So this is the way. That means this is very useful to prepare further Ki. Further Ki. That's why don't discard that. Next, second method for industrial purpose. Second method, that is when iron reacts with iodine. Iron reacts with iodine. See here. So it is rubbing, boys. That means by taking iodine and iron, so this is going to be rubbed. During the rubbing, that gives FeI2 is first formed. That formed FeI2 further reacts with iodine. This gives Fe3I8 is the point. Polyiodide, boys. Polyiodide is the product. So that is for balancing. This is 3 times. Fe3I8. That is a polyiodide is the product. The formed polyiodide reacts with K2CO3, Fe3I8. In the, that is water gives 8 Ki plus, that is the final product, boys, CO2, 4 CO2 plus FeOH twice plus FeOH thrice. Ferrous hydroxide, ferric hydroxide, and our target product, that is Ki is the product. Our target products. So this is the way to prepare potassium iodide industrially. Potassium iodide industrially. Okay. So these are the preparation methods, guys. Some of the there is in particular laboratory preparations and industrial preparations. Now properties. Now properties. Properties of KIN. Properties of Ki, boys. Boys, potassium iodide is the solvent which is highly soluble in water. Highly soluble in water. So see here. So it is white solid and highly soluble in water. And highly soluble in water. Next point. Iodine, I2. See here. I2 not soluble. I2 is not soluble, boys, actually, but the solubility of this I2 in the presence of potassium iodide is very, very high. That means in the presence of potassium iodide, I2 soluble in water. Actually, it is insoluble, but in the presence of potassium iodide, it is very, very soluble. See here, what have I said? Because when I2 in the presence of potassium iodide, that gives Ki3 is the compound. This actually I2 is covalent. I2 is covalent. Covalent substance not soluble in polar solvent. That's why it is not soluble in water. But so when I2 reacts with potassium iodide, it converts into Ki3. What is this Ki3? It is nothing but K plus and I3 minus and it is ionic compound. It is ionic compound. K plus ion and I3 minus ion. Triiodide ion, polyiodide ion. Okay, it is ionic compound. Because of formation of this ionic compound, this iodine in presence of Ki soluble in water. Because there is no I2, there is converted into Ki3. It is ionic compound, that's why it is soluble in water. Whereas here, I3 minus. What about that I3 minus? This I3 minus we will rewrite it as I2 minus. I2 minus. It is the central atom. This central atom is in sp3d hybridization and linear shape. The central atom in I3 minus is in sp3d hybridization and linear shape. So because of ionic compound potassium triiodide, this iodine in the presence of Ki is highly soluble. Highly soluble. Okay. So this is the one of the most important uses of this potassium iodide. Next, some of the chemical reactions. Some of the chemical reactions. That is, see here, potassium iodide when reacts with halogen. What is that halogen? Either fluorine, chlorine, bromine, whatever it may be. When it reacts with halogen, that gives Kx 2 times plus I2 is the productant. Halogen compound is the productant. Either KCl, KF, KBr are the final products. That means halogen is replaced because of high oxidizing power of remaining elements. Iodine is the least oxidizing power and it has reducing property. It has reducing property. But remaining halogens are good oxidizing agents. Because of that purpose, upper halogens can displace lower halogens from its compounds. Based on that concept, so it is the reaction takes place in it. There is a reaction. Next one. When potassium iodide reacts with H2SO4, that gives K2SO4. So K2SO4 plus 2Hi is the productant. So that formed Hi once again reacts. That formed Hi once again it is concentrated H2SO4. Once again reacts with H2SO4. That gives 2H2O plus I2 plus what is that another one? H2O, I2, that is SO2. I2 plus SO2. Why is this I2 is violet in color, which is a gas. Here in this situation, gas. So this is gas N. This is gas N. That means in this reaction, 3 gaseous products are formed. 3 gaseous products are formed. So in this reaction, when potassium iodide reacts with H2SO4, 3 different gaseous products are formed. So that is Hi, SO2 and I2. All these are gaseous products. Please keep in mind. Next, our potassium iodide is the good reducing agent. Potassium iodide is the good reducing agent. So when it is involved in reaction, I minus ion is changed to I2. So 2I minus by the loss of 2 electrons. By the loss of 2 electrons. That means here minus 1 oxygen state change it to 0. It is oxidation wise, acts therefore acts as reducing agent. Therefore, potassium iodide itself acts as reducing agent. Some of the examples for that one. So acts as reducing agent. See here, already we know the reactions wise. What is that? KMnO4. KMnO4 when reacts with potassium iodide in the presence of acid, that gives this K with sulfate, that gives K2SO4. This Mn with sulfate, MnSO4 plus this iodine, I2 plus H2O are the production. I2 and H2O are. So this is a skeleton equation. Guys, please balance this equation. Here, Mn, it is in +7 oxygen state, but here is in +2 oxygen state. So that means Mn is reduced with the help of this potassium iodide. Therefore, it acts as reducing agent. So it is pink in color. It is colorless. That means potassium iodide decolorizes pink color of KMnO4. Potassium iodide decolorizes pink color of KMnO4 because of this reaction. Please balance it. Balance itself. Next, second reaction. What is that second reaction? That is K2Cr2O7. K2Cr2O7. It is orange colored, boys. Reacts with potassium iodide. Reacts with potassium iodide in the presence of H2SO4. Gives this potassium and this sulfate combination K2SO4. This chromium with sulfate, that is a chromic sulfate, Cr2SO4 thrice plus iodine converted into I2 plus water. Please balance this equation. Here chromium is in +6 oxidation state wise. Here chromium is in +3 oxidation stage. +6 compound is changed to +3 compound. It is orange color, that is green color. It is orange color, that is green color. So +6 changed to +3, that is reduction. That reduction with the help of this potassium iodide, therefore it is a reducing agent. So this reduction is due to this. That's why it is a reducing agent. So itself it is oxidized and acts as reducing agent. Itself it is oxidized and acts as reducing agent. Next, third equation. One more example. That is CuSO4. When CuSO4 reacts with potassium iodide, that gives Cu(I2) plus K2SO4. K2SO, it is 2 times S, Cu(I2). That formed Cu(I2) itself decomposed into, that is Cu2I2 plus I2. Balance, yes, balance. Here copper is in +2 oxygen state wise. Final compound copper is in +1. +2 is changed to +1. It is reduced with the help of this potassium iodide. Therefore, it acts as reducing agent. Therefore, it acts as it is a continuation reaction, sequential reaction. Okay. So like this, our potassium iodide acts as good reducing agent. So the most important application of this potassium iodide is it is used to prepare Nessler's reagent. See here how to prepare and what is the use of that Nessler's reagent. No, nobody, because it is in -1 oxygen state. The -1 oxygen state. So almost no oxidizing properties. Okay. Next. That is the least oxidation stage. Because -1 is the least oxidation stage, so that's why it is not acts as oxidizing. Further least is there. If further least is there, that is reduced, itself acts as oxidizing. No, boys, -7 is not possible for the halogens. -7 is not possible. Only -1 is acceptable. That is preparation of Nessler's reagent. See here, that is mercuric chloride. HgCl2 reacts with potassium iodide 2 moles, that gives K2. Sorry, just a minute. That is Hg(I2) is the first product. Hg, that is plus 2 KClN. This Hg(I2) further reacts with potassium iodide with 2 moles. That gives K2 Hg(I4) is the product. K2 Hg(I4). It is the complex compound, boys. Complex compounds. Okay. In this complex compounds, central metal is equal to mercury. In this complex compound, this is the central metal. So oxidation state of Hg is equal to, it is plus 2 boys, plus 1 and plus 1 plus 2, iodine minus 4, that is why it is plus 2 is the oxidation state. Mercury oxidation state. Next, mercury connected with 4 iodines, therefore coordination number of mercury is equal to 4. Coordination number of mercury is equal to 4. See here, this formed complex K2 Hg(I4) plus KOH. This is called as alkaline complex, any alkaline salts, complex salts. This is called as Nessler's reagent. This is called as Nessler's reagent. Now, this Nessler's reagent, this is used to confirm ammonium ion voice, NH4 plus ion. It is used to confirm ammonium ion present in the given salts. It is used to confirm ammonium ion present in the given salts. So very, very important. Very, very important. So it is the conformity test for ammonium ion. What is the reagent used? Nessler's reagent. Its formula is K2 Hg(I4) generally. But strictly speaks, alkaline K2 Hg(I4) is called as Nessler's reagent. Alkaline. So see here, what is the reaction? What is the test? Ammonium salts to ammonium salts aqueous solution. Nessler's reagent is added. Nessler's reagent is added. It is liquid voice. So automatically it gives chocolate colored precipitate. So formation of chocolate colored precipitate confirms the presence of ammonium ion given your salt. That gives a chocolate colored precipitate. The chocolate colored precipitate formation clarifies, confirms the presence of ammonium ion. So at the time of ammonium, there is nitrogen compounds. We will discuss that reaction. So this is just Ki concept. It is just Ki concept. Next. So this potassium iodide is also used in qualitative analysis to identify silver ions and lead ions. Ki is also used to confirm the presence of silver ions and lead ions. Both silver ions and lead ions are confirmed with the help of this potassium iodide voice. So see here, how is that? Let us take AgNO3, silver nitrate. When it reacts with potassium iodide, that gives AgI plus KNO3 is the productant. This AgI has yellow colored precipitate. Yellow colored precipitate, boys. That means the formation of yellow color when added with potassium iodide, automatically that is confirms AgN. Similarly, lead nitrate, PbNO3 twice. When it reacts with potassium iodide, that gives PbI2, lead iodide, plus KNO3. That is 2 moles KNO3. That is, it is 2 moles, boys. So this one also precipitate, which gives yellow color, yellow colored precipitate. So that means the formation of yellow colors may be the presence of either lead ion or silver ion. So that means Ki is also used as a reagent in your laboratory to find out, to confirm some of the metal ions. So these are the some important applications of potassium iodide. So these are the some important applications, and very, very important compound from potassium side is the potassium iodide, guys. So it is laboratory reagent for making necessary reagent, and also to identify the metal ions, and acts as good reducing agent. So to increase the solubility of that I2, potassium iodide is used. So these are all some conditions and some important applications of this potassium iodide, guys. So this is about compounds of potassium. Compounds of potassium. Okay. Now almost last but one topic, boys, about the biological importance of sodium and potassium. Biological importance of sodium and potassium. Next topic, any. So that is also very, very, very important. Boys, I'm not giving any notes to that. Please follow your textbook line to line. Line to line. So every line is a bit end. Every line is a bit end. So at last, Praveen, at last we will conclude which one is important, which one is unimportant. Please wait. So that is biological importance of sodium and potassium ions. Very, very important, boys. It is very, very important. So please follow your textbook. My condition is please follow your line to line or integrated book. So, but I am giving some important points. Because it is biological importance, boys. So most of the properties it is not possible to explain. Try to read that concept. Try to read that concept. Okay. See here what happens. Boys, in our body, not only in our body, in our any animal body, not only human beings, animals also. In our body, a number of elements are there. Carbon is the most abundant element in our body. Hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. Okay. So all these are very, very important. But so among all these, in your cell, that is blood cells are there. So in your cells, potassium, so that is the sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. So magnesium is negligible, but calcium. These three metals and Fe plus 2, Fe plus 3, ferric, that is in your blood cells level. Okay. So these are the ions most important. These are the ions most important in cell membranes. Okay. So what is the function of these ions? Because we are in alkali metals, There sodium and potassium are there. That's why biological importance of sodium and potassium only here we have to discuss it. Only we have to discuss. See here what happened. That is, in our human beings, there is blood cell. There is blood cells. So this is the blood membrane, boys. Membrane. Okay. So it is inside the cell, it is outside the cell. Inside the cell contains mostly potassium ions, and outside the cell contains sodium ions. But a little bit potassium inside is there, a little bit sodium inside is there, a little bit potassium outside also there. But majorly potassium is present inside the blood cells, and sodium is in outside the blood cell, that is mainly in plasma. Blood plasma is there. In plasma, mainly sodium ions are there, a little potassium. Blood inside, that is intracellular fluids, interstitial cellular fluids that contains potassium ions. So this is the basic placement of those potassium and sodium ions. Okay. So now these potassium and sodium ions are very, very important for nerve signals, particularly sodium ions. For nerve signals, so sodium ions are required, but a little potassium ions are also required. Next, so between this membrane, between this potassium, there is membrane is there. So between this membrane and this one, so there is electrode potential is developed. Electrode potential is developed. That potential difference leads to the current generation. That potential difference leads to the current generation, boys. So that is very, very important for our brain functioning. Next one. Some of the potassium ions may be increased inside the vessel, inside the cell, and some of the potassium ions may be increased in outside it. But so that is not acceptable tendency. So that's why. So those are interchanged. That means sodium ions which are present inside are pumped out, and potassium ions which are present outside are pumped in. So that means, so there is a cycling, there is a pump that helps. So inner sodium ions to the outside and outer potassium ions to the inside, which is called as sodium potassium pump. So for that purpose, some energy is required. So for the pumping of these ions in and out and in. For the pumping of ions, some energy is required. That energy is collected. So that is in those reactions, that is ATP. Adenosine triphosphate is changed to adenosine diphosphate. Some energy is released, and this energy released is used for sodium potassium pump. So that released energy is used, this sodium potassium pump, for interchange of those ions which are extra present here. So sodium here, ATP is converted into ADP. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. Nucleic acid we will discuss later in your second year. Next, ADP means adenosine diphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. AM, that is adenosine monophosphate. AMP. All these are there. So that is a triphosphate is changed to diphosphate. Energy is released. That released energy is used. For this sodium potassium pump. Boys, a human being must require this potassium ions and sodium ions. For example, if more amount of sodium ions are present outside, more amount than required, automatically hypertension is developed. Hypertension is nothing but high BP. That is because of more amount of potassium ions, not potassium, it is sodium ions. More amount of sodium ions present outside the cell. So more, that is why, so your parents or some elders so frequently talk to you. That is, don't take more salts. That gives BPA. Because of this reason, hypertension is developed. Because the cell membrane, the pressure is developed. That is, osmotic pressure is there. So that osmotic pressure is perfectly maintained by this sodium potassium ions. If that pressure is not perfectly maintained, automatically BP, high BP, low BP develop. That is due to presence of unequal balancing situation. Unequal balancing situation. Okay. So next, a perfect, particularly a human being, that is in blood plasma. See here, in blood plasma, that is outside cell wrap. In blood plasma, that is the concentration of Na plus ions is equal to 143 millimole per liter. Next, the concentration of K plus ions is equal to 5 millimole per liter. 5 millimole per. See boys, outside the cell, potassium, sodium ions are more. Next, in RBC, RBC means red blood cells. So that is inside cell. That is potassium ions are more. How much is that? 105 millimole per liter, and Na plus ions also still there, boys, but a little, that is a 10 millimole per liter. 10 millimole per liter. So please keep in mind, these values are number of times asked in your exam center. Number of times. Next, a typical 70 kg man, theoretically, please keep in mind. Okay, a typical 70 kg man contains, so that is 90 grams sodium and 170 grams potassium is required. A typical, that means a 70 kg human being, a person, a male person, required every day. So 90 grams, that it contains, not required, boys, contains, that body contains 90 grams of sodium and 170 grams of potassium. So that is the available values from general cases. Okay, so these are all, that means sodium, potassium, not everyday, boys, those are present inside your body, having 70 kg person. A 70 kg male person contains, not required, contains, so 90 grams sodium and 170 grams potassium. Not required, boys, it is too much difficult to supply that particular amounts. Okay, so this is the importance of sodium and potassium, particularly so cell membranes is total function is based on the sodium and potassium. Nerve signals, all these are basically depending on the presence of potassium and sodium. So don't go for excess amount and less amounts. Excess amount of sodium gives hypertension, that is high BP. Low percentage gives low BP. So no doubt, everything is positive. Okay? Yes, that is general conception from your textbook. Okay? Every day, yes, it is correct, boys. If every day that much amount, we will die. Okay? So this is about biological importance, but please note every line as a bitwise from your text. Okay? Last topic, boys. That is uses of alkali metals. See here, first one. What is that first alkali metal? That is lithium. So where it is used, boys? Daily we are using, boys. That is lithium ion batteries in your mobiles. Lithium ion batteries. All those lithium ion batteries, that is rechargeable batteries, are completely nowadays made with lithium. That is the most important part. That is first one. So lithium ion batteries is totally based on this is lithium because lithium is light and hard, lightest metal and hardest metal. Because why, sir? Why? Because the storage of that lithium is very, very high. So that's why recent days lithium ion battery is used. More energy is stored in that battery. Okay. So next. So lithium is light and hardened. Lithium is light and hard. Therefore, by taking alloys, that means lithium with aluminum, both are light and hardened. Alloy is used to make parts of aircrafts. Aircrafts are nothing but they require very lightweight and hard materials. So lithium aluminum alloy gives that particular strength and that particular strength. So that means use it to make parts of aircrafts. Next. So lithium with magnesium. This alloy is used to make armor armor plates. So this is lithium, boys. This is about lithium. Next, second one, sodium. So sodium and potassium combination. Sodium potassium alloy. Sodium potassium alloy generally used in high temperature thermometers. So generally thermometers contains mercury. So in place of mercury, this combination is used to measure high temperatures. Next, sodium vapor lamps as street lights and something else. Sodium vapor lamps generally used. Next and most important, boys, that is potassium. Potassium and cesium, and these are the only metals, boys. Potassium and cesium, not rubidium. Very, very, very important. These are used to make. That is, what is that? Photoelectric metals. These are considered. So that is to generate photoelectric. That is solar plates. Solar plates. That is in case of photoelectric current. To make, that is for photoelectric power generation. For photo, that is already we know, boys, photoelectric effect at the time of our atomic structure. So photoelectric effect is when a metal rod, a beam of light is having certain minimum intensity, minimum frequency incident, electrons are ejected. That electrons gives power generation. That is photocurrent. Okay, so that is the solar lamps are generally made with very, very important potassium and cesium. Potassium and cesium, these two gives photoelectric cells. Clearly, it is better. Photoelectric cells for making photoelectric cells. In photoelectric cells, so potassium and cesium are used. Okay, so rubidium properties I don't know mostly. Generally used. Okay, so these are some important. Yes. So lithium ion batteries are used also in inverter batteries, no doubt. Everything in. Okay, yes, solar panel. That is what I told you. That is a photoelectric cell. So these are some important uses of our alkali metals. So this is the end of alkali metals.